Hey guys, how are you guys? Whoa, loud. How you guys doing? Cool. So I'm here today to talk to you guys about a couple different mindsets. So the first mindset is how do you go from starting a business for the first time and getting to your first $10,000 in online sales? And the second mindset, the second approach, is once you have that as your foundation, how do you then go to sell your first 6 figures and your first 7 figures? Before I jump in, how many people here are just getting started in the digital nomad lifestyle or just getting started in your first business and you're looking forward to your first 10K? Raise your hand. Cool. And raise your hand if you've already sold your first 10K and you're looking forward to getting to the 6-figure or 7-figure levels. Raise your hand. Awesome. There's going to be something for both groups of people here today. So before I jump in, let me quickly introduce myself. So I've been in digital marketing for about the last 10 years. I first got started as an unpaid intern and then worked my way up to marketing manager. For the last 4 or 5 years, I've mostly been working in the e-commerce field. I've been responsible for between $3 and $4 million in sales over the last few years. I first got started with dropshipping using the Anton and Johnny method. I went from startup to building my first store in about 2 weeks. And by week 6, the store was doing over $10,000 a month. Then I built an Amazon FBA business, which went from startup to about 10 to 20K a month within about 8 months. And then I launched a t-shirt business, which was selling over $100,000 a month by month 4. By month 9, we had sold $600,000, and by month 12, we were out of business. So what I learned from this experience was that I was really good at generating revenue, but there was things in business that I didn't know. So I kept my Amazon business running, took on a business partner, and decided to get a job at a larger company where I could learn the skills that I didn't have. So I joined one of the largest healthy foods companies in the United States. They have annual revenues of over $200 million. I was responsible for running their entire portfolio of e-commerce customer acquisition strategies. So Facebook ads, podcast advertising, direct mail, YouTube, all kinds of different things. I was running the collection of different ways of getting customers, not necessarily hands-on doing them, but managing the different agencies and the different people who are implementing these different strategies. So I was in that job for about 9 months before I was like, I'd really rather be doing my own thing. So I left the job and started a few new companies. One of them is the world's first foldable, travel-friendly pull-up bar, which we sold over $200,000 on Kickstarter, Indiegogo, and on our own website. We were featured on the homepage of Men's Health. We were featured on the homepage of Uncrate. We were featured in Ask Men, a bunch of other publications. And that kind of brings us to today. So that's a little bit about me. Here's what I'm going to be talking to you guys about today. So over the last 8 or 9 years, I've spent about 4.5 of the last 8 or 9 years traveling the world, meeting different people, talking to a lot of digital nomads like you guys. And what I found is that digital nomads in general, they're able to make an income online. They're able to kind of overcome that hurdle of going from having a job to having the kind of freedom that they want to have, but they're often not making as much money as they want to be making, right? They're making $1,000 a month, they're making $3,000 a month, they're making $5,000 a month, but they really want to be making 6 figures, maybe even 7 figures. And every time they try and go past that level, something stops it from happening. They might be launching more products, they might be launching more websites, they might be trying dropshipping and then trying Amazon FBA and then trying affiliate marketing, but no matter what they're trying, they're not able to break out of the income zone that they're in. So today what I want to talk to you guys about is why I think that happens, how I saw these things happening in my own business, and how I overcame them. Sound good? Awesome. Okay. So before I get into the 6 and 7 figure stuff, let me touch on how do you get to your first 10K if you haven't sold any products on the internet yet? And this is actually a process that I've had to go through multiple times because I've used a lot of different business models. So I've done selling t-shirts, I've done Amazon FBA, I've done dropshipping, I'm doing software now, I'm doing content businesses. Every time I start a new business, it's basically starting from scratch because there's very different skill sets to launch a software business versus to launch an Amazon business. I believe the skill of learning to go from knowing nothing about a business model to generating your first $10,000, that is a skill in and of itself that can be improved. Does that make sense? Cool. Okay, so how I think the easiest way or the most effective way to get to your first 10K is number 1, to get really obsessed with a specific way of making money on the internet. So that might be dropshipping, it might be affiliate marketing, it might be software, whatever the case may be. Get really obsessed with it. Buy all the books, all the courses, listen to all the podcasts, watch all the YouTube videos. I would often be listening to podcasts while I'm eating food, go back to work for 10 hours, and then be watching videos at night, right? Then launch your business as quickly as possible with as much velocity as possible. There's a quote that I really like, which is that businesses tend to sustain the velocity at which they are launched. So if you spend 6 months studying something, and then you spend 3 months building a website, and then you spend 3 months starting to get traffic, and it takes you a year before you make your first sale, that business is probably not gonna grow very fast because it wasn't launched with velocity. If you spend 2 or 3 weeks studying everything you can, eat, sleep, and breathe a specific strategy, and then you launch your business in less than a month, that business has a much higher chance of getting to the kind of income levels that you wanna get because it has velocity. Does that make sense? Cool. All right. And when you're launching a new business, the things that you're gonna be focused on are gonna be tactics. Now, a tactic is a specific implementation of a tool or a technique designed to get a specific result. So that's things like, what are the right Shopify extensions to increase your conversion rates? How do you install your Facebook pixels so that you can track the people who are coming to your website and segment them into different groups so you can remarket to them? How do you integrate your Shopify products with your Google Shopping feed? What's the right cost per click that you should be bidding at? How do you write your sales copy? Right? It's things like these that are gonna get you the traffic to your website and get you to convert that traffic into buyers. And those are the two skills, the two tactical skills that you're gonna learn in the beginning, and that's what's gonna make the most difference for a new business. That's what's gonna get you to your first 10K, your first 20K, your first 30K. This is also where a lot of digital nomads get. Because the tactics get them their first 10K, 20K, 30K, they think that to get to 100K, 500K, or 1 million, they have to get better and better and better at the tactics. That's not the case. I was really surprised when I started working with businesses that have $10 million, $100 million in revenue, that I would walk into rooms with the teams that are responsible for generating that revenue, and I would be expecting, really, really amazing advanced tactics that I've never heard of anywhere else. What I found was that the average multi-million-dollar company knows very little about the tactics. Right? You talk to a digital nomad who's selling on Amazon about what they're doing to increase their sales, and they might tell you something like this. Well, I'm running sponsored listing ads. I'm split testing my headlines and my prices and my images. I'm giving away a bunch of products to get more reviews. I'm automatically sending emails to anyone who buys my product so that they're more likely to leave a review. I'm exporting all my customers to a outside list and importing that into Facebook ads so I can remarket to them. Right? They're doing 10 different tactics at once, and they're selling $200,000 a year. And then these companies are selling $5, $10, $20 million a year, and they don't know how to do any of that stuff. So why are some companies able to sell millions and millions and millions of dollars while putting in far less effort than the average digital nomad? This was one of the questions that I really, really wanted to know the answer to. So to answer this question, I'm going to tell you guys a story. So this is the story of the Roost laptop stand. Raise your hand if you've ever seen a Roost laptop stand or ever used a Roost laptop stand. Okay, so the Roost laptop stand is a portable laptop stand that you can bring with you wherever you go. It folds up into a little stick, so it's easy to carry with you. And it keeps the laptop at eye level. It's more ergonomically friendly. They first launched on Kickstarter. They have a patent on their product, and now they sell on Amazon. Now, having a patent on your product basically means the US government has made it illegal for anyone else to sell the product other than you. So if someone else puts this product on Amazon, they can take it down. Now, as more and more people become digital nomads, as more and more people start working from their laptops, as more and more people start becoming freelancers, as more and more people start working half-time from home and half-time at the office, and as the Roost laptop stand has this government-mandated monopoly, do you think they're going to be making more money or less money every year? Raise your hand if you think they're going to be making more money. Cool. Okay, so now let's compare this experience that the Roost has to the experience that the average Amazon seller has. So typically, if you're starting to sell a product on Amazon, and I'm going to give examples from different business models as well for people who are not selling on Amazon or not familiar with these models. But the typical experience that an Amazon seller has is that first they look for a product using a tool called Jungle Scout. They're looking for a product that fits a certain range of criteria. So they're looking typically for products between $20 and $40. It has a decent amount of sales, so maybe around $10,000 to $50,000 a month in sales for the top few products. there's not too many competitors. So maybe there's 10 people selling this product on Amazon, and the top few guys have less than 100 reviews. It's easy to ship, it's light, it doesn't break, things like that, right? So you find a product that fits these criteria, and you find a manufacturer in China, and you ship it to Amazon in the United States. Now, what oftentimes happens is by the time the product lands in the warehouse in Amazon, you already have 15 more competitors. 6 months after you launch your product, you have 35 more competitors. So now there's 50 more people selling this product than when you first found the product and decided to sell it. Now, what happens when you have 50 additional competitors selling the same product as you? Well, number one, you have a lot more people bidding on the same keywords in sponsored listing ads, which means your cost per click is going to go up. Number two, the websites that you use to give away products for free in exchange for getting reviews is suddenly having a lot more of this product in it, which means fewer people are going to choose your product to review, which means it's going to cost you more to get reviews. Number three, as more and more other people get reviews and rank higher than you, it's going to take you more and more reviews to get the same amount of sales. In other words, the cost to get customers increases as you get more competitors. And as you get more competitors, some of them are going to compete based on price, which means everyone else has to lower their price to stay competitive. So your margins go down. Amazon has also become very aware of private label sellers, and they've started taking all kinds of actions that make it harder and harder to sell private label products. So they made it against the rules to give away products for free to get reviews. They made it easy for people to disable marketing emails. They've removed thousands of reviews from Amazon sellers, right? So they've taken all these different actions that makes it very difficult for private label sellers to sell or to improve their business. And finally, customers are becoming more and more aware of private label sellers as well. There's YouTube videos and Reddit threads and all kinds of other Medium posts that have gone viral showing people how Amazon sellers are giving away products for reviews and showing customers how they can filter those reviews out using Chrome extensions and by searching on Google and different things. So customer behaviors are changing. So as you combine all these different factors, the average Amazon seller is making either less and less money every year, or their business is staying just at a steady level, but they're having to work really hard to keep it at that level. Make sense? Now, this is very different than the experience that the Roost laptop stand is having. Right? The Roost laptop stand makes more money every year as their industry grows. The average Amazon seller makes less money every year as their industry grows. What's the difference between these two businesses? Someone want to shout it out? The patent. That's one thing, yes. Okay, so one more slide. I forgot about this slide, but I'll explain it anyway. So it's easy to underestimate these forces because it's hard to see how many competitors you really have. This is the amount of traffic that Jungle Scout has. People don't browse Jungle Scout for fun. It's not a funny site. It doesn't have cats, right? This is a site you go to find products to sell on Amazon. There's 1.7 million visits a month. That means every single week there are hundreds of thousands of people looking for products just like yours to sell. If you find a product that looks good, chances are there's literally 10,000 people seeing the same thing. So the thing that really separates businesses that are able to scale, and the thing that keeps digital nomads from scaling, the thing that multi-million-dollar businesses focus on that digital nomads in general haven't been focusing on, is finding competitive advantages that nobody else can copy. Finding strategic advantages that nobody else can copy. I'm going to give you guys a few examples, but the common thread through all of these things is that you want to find some way to structure your business so that no matter how many competitors come to your space, you're going to be increasingly profitable rather than decreasing your profits. And I want to be really clear, I'm not saying that you have to change any of your business models because this idea works with every other business model out there. So it works with drop shipping. It works with selling products on Amazon. It works with freelancing. It works with all these different other business models, but you just want to think a little bit differently as you're designing your business. So I'm going to jump into 4 different ways you can build sustainable advantages into your companies. And I'm going to give a lot of examples using different business models, using my own business, using other people's businesses. So strategy number 1 is intellectual property. So we've already talked about the example of the Roost laptop stand with the patent, but I wanted to give you guys one other example. So this is sportsmemorabilia.com. They sell sports stuff that sports fans really like. So things like a soccer ball that was used in a really famous soccer game and then signed by the player who kicked a goal, right? A jersey signed by the player who wore that number, things like that. Now, The way they built this business was the founder managed to buy the domain name sportsmemorabilia.com for around $10,000. This is like having computer.com, right? It's like you have the most authoritative domain name possible in your space. Using that brand, they were then able to call up the NFL, the NBA, the MLB, right, the MBL, the different organizations that run these sports leagues and say, hey, I'm the owner of sportsmemorabilia.com. I'd like to sell your sports memorabilia. And because they had such an authoritative brand, they were able to get exclusive licensing deals that nobody else was able to get. Keep in mind, this is a company that had zero revenue, right? They were basically just able to position themselves in a different way and get licenses that nobody else is able to get. As a result, today, this is a business that does, I think, over $15 million a year because they have products that nobody else can get licenses for, and nobody else is competing with them on these products because the NFL is not looking to give these licenses out left and right. In our business, in the pull-up bar business, this is a very intellectual property is the approach that we're taking as well. We have 4 patents pending, 2 in China, 2 in the United States. We want to make it illegal for anyone else to sell a travel pull-up bar except us in the US, and we want to make it illegal for anyone else to manufacture one in China. That's what's going to give us a lock on the market and have us be able to build a substantial business. Number two competitive advantage is product. So Noah Kagan, founder of AppSumo and Sumo.com and former chief marketing officer of Mint.com, says that the secret to marketing is to build a great product. When we launched our pull-up bar, we were featured on the homepage of Men's Health, we were featured on the homepage of Uncrate, we were in Ask Men, we were in Bro Bible, we were in a bunch of other publications. We had some of the largest YouTubers, some of the largest bloggers reach out to us and want to be affiliates for our products. This doesn't happen when you're selling low-quality stuff. When you're selling great stuff, people come out of the woodwork and ask how they can help you. Customers spread the message. Customers share your product with other people. Your cost per clicks go down. Your conversion rates go up. There's this idea in our community that you can sell crap and make money, right? Because that's kind of how the whole Amazon movement and the whole AliExpress kind of movement got started, where someone found a garlic press and then put it on Amazon. They're like, oh, I'm making $10,000 a month. Let's private label more stuff. And that's kind of how this whole thing got started, right? And I still sell private label products. I've sold a lot of products that I think are not that high quality, and I've made money doing it. So I don't want to tell you guys that you can't make money doing private label, or that you can't make money selling products from AliExpress. All I want to say is it's much, much easier. You'll make a lot more money when you're selling good stuff. Having been on both sides of the table, selling good products just makes such a big difference. It impacts every part of your business. Now, when I say product, I want to be clear, I'm not just talking about physical products. I'm talking about user experiences as well, unique stories as well. So this website is thisiswhyimbroke.com. What this website does is they find really weird, really funny products and they feature it to people. So over there is a 10-pound Toblerone chocolate bar that you can buy for $100, a wallet that sets itself on fire, and a camera lens that you use like a rocket launcher. It's $26,000. So it's easy to get drunk on a Friday night and maybe end up with a 10-pound chocolate bar. So this website has a very strong tendency to go viral. It's on Reddit all the time. It's featured in the news. People share it with their friends. It's a very viral product, right? In a way, this is just an Amazon affiliate site, right? This is an affiliate site, nothing else. But they've created such a weird, such a unique user experience, such a good story that the website in and of itself is a product. Does that make sense? Let me give you guys one more example. So this is a e-commerce site, spyguy.com. You would go on this website to buy spy gear. So if you want a hidden camera in your smoke detector or your wall sockets or something like that. Now, the unique selling point to this website is they have a normal-looking guy explaining how all their products work. Because if you're doing something that feels a little bit sketchy, even if it's your family and even if it's for a good reason, having a normal-looking person explain how the different products work make a really big difference. And this is a multiple 7-figure e-commerce store for this reason. Okay. So having a good product makes a really big difference, and products are not just physical products, but websites, apps, user experiences, stories, different things like that. Having something that people would feel proud to share, journalists would feel proud to write about, affiliates would feel proud to promote, people would be curious to click on in Facebook ads, people would be curious to click on in YouTube ads, and a product that doesn't need convincing, right? There is a certain amount of making up for product that you can do with marketing, right? But it's so much easier if you have a product that when people hear about it, they instantly want to buy it. When I tell people, hey, yeah, we have a pull-up bar that folds up and fits in a carry-on bag, people are like, oh, I want to buy that. How much is it, right? You don't need to market your product if your product is good enough that it sells itself. So, make sense so far? How you guys doing? Good? Okay. All right, so the next type of competitive advantage that you guys can build is called network effects. To explain this, I'm going to tell you guys the story of my t-shirt business. So as I mentioned earlier, we went from zero to about $100,000 a month, a little over $100,000 a month, in about 4 months. Now, the way this business model worked was we were selling t-shirts to about 300 different markets. All of them were people who were extremely passionate about their different interests and the different things they were into. So we were selling to people who do jiu-jitsu, people who skydive, people who are writing a book, people who raise chickens in their backyards, right? Anything where it's something that people are deeply passionate about their thing. The t-shirts look something like this. To those who jump, no explanation is necessary. To those who don't, no explanation is possible. Right? Kind of badass, kind of cool, kind of funny. If you're a skydiver, you might want to buy a t-shirt like that and wear it around your friends and show off how cool you are. But you probably don't want to have like 3 of these, right? You want maybe 1 or 2 t-shirts about skydiving. What started happening was people became aware that you can make a lot of money selling t-shirts. And people started talking about it on podcasts and YouTube videos. People started creating courses. People started teaching it on Udemy. This strategy, this technique started spreading all over the world. And pretty soon, we had tens of thousands of people using a very similar approach. And these people are using different kinds of spy tools to figure out what markets everyone else is selling in. So everyone's selling to similar markets. So now we had tens of thousands of people selling to the same markets, which means A, it's driving up the cost of Facebook ads to target those people. B, people are getting flooded in their news feeds for the same t-shirts, right? Different t-shirts, but t-shirts about skydiving. Maybe now you're seeing 10 of them a week in your news feed. You're much less likely to click on it. C, customers who've already bought some of these t-shirts, they're much less likely to buy another one because you don't want 10 t-shirts about skydiving. And D, Facebook ads actually manually degraded the ads coming to this domain. It was running to teespring.com. Any ads running to teespring.com got more expensive and they restricted the views. So as these different factors converged, it suddenly became much less profitable to run this business model, and within about 3 months, we went out of business. So those 4 factors I talked about earlier, right? Increasing customer acquisition costs, decreasing margins, platforms taking actions against these business models, and customers changing behaviors. That's kind of what happened to this business. It's what happened to a lot of Amazon businesses. This is kind of what happens when a lot of these business models start taking off and people start becoming more and more aware that they can make money doing these things. Now, let me talk about a different t-shirt business that started in a very similar way to ours. So this t-shirt business was also started on the internet. They used the internet to get customers, and then when they had customers, they shipped the orders to their printer, which printed them on demand, so they didn't hold inventory. The printers would print the t-shirts, ship it directly to customers. Very similar business model to ours in the beginning. The difference is that they built an ecosystem around their designs. So they had a few designers compete over a few $100s. They took the best t-shirt design and they shipped it out to their email list, small email list, and they got a bunch of people to buy it, which gave them more money. Once they had more money, they hosted a larger contest, which got them higher quality designers, and that higher quality design got them more customers onto their email list. More customers meant more money, which meant larger design contests, which meant more higher quality designers, which meant more customers, which meant more designers, which meant more customers, which meant more designers, etc. Today, this business has tens of thousands of customers. Really? Okay. Today, this business has tens of thousands of customers and tens of thousands of designers, which makes it next to impossible for anyone else to compete with a similar business model. So this business is called Threadless, and they do over $10 million a year today. So what a network effect is any business that for every additional user, it makes the business more valuable for everyone else. So Facebook's a prime example, right? 1,000 people using Facebook isn't that valuable, but 1 billion people using Facebook is very valuable. Every additional user makes Facebook more valuable. Let me give you guys one last example from the digital nomad space. So this is Jungle Scout. Jungle Scout is a tool that helps people find products to sell on Amazon. People pay Jungle Scout to track their competitors' search volumes and their sales volumes. Every time someone pays Jungle Scout to track their competitors, they get more data. Having more data allows them to improve their algorithms, which makes the product more valuable and helps them get more customers. Having more customers paying for data makes the product makes their algorithms better and allows them to get more customers. More customers gets them more data gets them more customers, etc. Until today, a few years later, it's next to impossible to start a competitor because anyone who tries to start a competitor would be at such a big disadvantage in terms of data and algorithms that the product would just be worse. So nobody can compete with them. Does that make sense? Okay. Last one is customer lists and audiences. If you can build a large customer list, that is a moat in and of itself. So a friend of mine, we'll call him David, I mentored him in how to sell t-shirts online, but he took a little bit of a different approach than mine. He used Teespring to find new markets. He tested dozens of different markets and found the most profitable one and started his own store off of Teespring's platform. He owned the email list. We were not owning our email list. When this whole thing happened that made Teespring no longer a viable business model, he still had that email list. So he switched from selling t-shirts to selling other stuff that the audience was interested in, more expensive stuff, different stuff. Today, he has a very vibrant, very successful, very profitable business because he owned the email list, and even as my business was not able to survive because we were only surviving based on the arbitrage between the price of a Facebook ad and the margins on a t-shirt, he actually built up a list of an audience. When I started my new company, we had a very strong focus on building an email list. We spent about $10,000 before we even launched our Kickstarter. Having this email list allowed us to do $32,756 in the first 24 hours of launching our Kickstarter campaign. And it's gonna allow us, when we launch on Amazon, to get a bunch of reviews right out of the gate, right? If we go to 5,000 people and say, hey, and the list is actually bigger now after the Kickstarter. If we go to 5,000 people and we say, hey, we're launching on Amazon, here's a discount, can you help us buy the product, help us leave a review? We're probably gonna get a few hundred reviews right out of the gate and help kind of push us over the top of anyone else who's just private labeling a product on Amazon. If we start selling a product in Target and Target says, hey, we're gonna give you a $50,000 order to begin with, and then if the $50,000 order sells well, we're gonna give you $1 million order, we can email out a discount code to all of our customers and say, hey, help us buy up all these products, we don't need to make money, here's all our profit, you just help us sell this $50,000 so we get the $1 million order, right? Make sense? Okay. I'm running low on time, so I'm gonna, whoops, what's going on? Clicker's not working. Oh, there we go. Okay, so I'm gonna skip that. All right, so what I really want you guys to walk away with here today is the first thing you guys are doing if you're starting a business from scratch is you wanna find a good business model and just copy it, right? For your first $10,000, you don't wanna be thinking about your business model, you wanna be focusing on skills like how do you do Facebook ads, how do you increase your conversion rates, how do you build your Shopify store, things like that. Once you have those skills, you wanna start looking for a unique strategy that puts you ahead of all your competition and locks them out. So nobody else can copy you, nobody else can compete with you, and you're solidly in place and you don't have to worry about your business dying all of a sudden, which happens to a lot of nomads. So 3 tips for you guys as you guys are thinking about the strategy that you guys wanna implement. Tip number 1 is never position yourself against the platform, especially if you're dependent on that platform for traffic. So Black Hat SEO, Black Hat Amazon SEO, basically anytime that you're doing something the platforms don't like, it's a very precarious place to build a business on. There's a lot of ways this can happen that might not intuitively seem to be the case. So drop shipping from AliExpress, for example. If someone clicks on your ad and lands on a Shopify site and buys a product, and they don't realize it's gonna take a month or more to get the product, A, they're gonna have a really bad experience, and B, someone also might tag them and say, hey, did you know you can get this product for 70% less if you just bought it from AliExpress? Right, so now this customer that's bought from your store is annoyed at Facebook for bringing bringing your store to them. So next time they're less likely to click on ads from Facebook, and now this customer is less valuable to Facebook, right? So Facebook, at some point, is probably going to do something that hurts these kinds of businesses. Now, I'm not saying that you shouldn't do AliExpress dropshipping. You can do this, and you should do it, because it's an easy way to get started. At some point, you'll want to transition your business so that it has a solid foundation. So you might use AliExpress dropshipping to first find different markets, right? Test 10 different markets without having to source warehouses and source products and do really expensive things like that. But after a certain point, you want to transition the brand that's doing the best into its own warehouse and have a kind of business that A, you personally can stand behind, B, Facebook is happy to have you advertising on, and C, customers are happy, which means the lifetime value of your customers, right? The customers are going to come back and buy again and again, is a lot higher, which means you can spend more on advertising. Where should I be pointing this? Next slide, please. Awesome. All right, number 2, position yourself in a rising tide. The reason that Jungle Scout is so successful is because they launched into a rising tide. They were one of the first software businesses catering to Amazon sellers just as the industry exploded. One of the reasons Johnny's podcast is so successful is because he's one of the first good podcasts in the Nomad space as that space was exploding. One of the reasons that my business partner and I are building tools for cryptocurrency investors and traders is because that's the fastest exploding space in the world right now. You can build businesses that are profitable in industries that are not rising, but it's much more likely to be a 5-figure business than a 7-figure business. If you want to build 7-figure plus businesses, it's much better to build them into rising industries. Next slide, please. Finally, whoa. Okay. What's going on there? All right, I'm just going to continue. All right, finally, think through all the different players in the ecosystem and don't underestimate anyone. So we have a tendency to think that Facebook isn't going to find out that we're creating experiences for their customers. Or we have a tendency to think that if we give out a bunch of products to get reviews on Amazon, Amazon's not going to find out. Or that if we build PBN networks to get ranked really quickly, that we're not going to get banned by Google, right? We have a tendency to underestimate the platforms. We also have a tendency to underestimate our competitors. There's not going to be another 100 people selling my same product. There's not going to be 1,000 other people doing similar things. We also tend to underestimate customers. They're not going to find out that we're getting fake reviews, or they're not going to find out that we're doing these different tactics and strategies. But the truth is, the internet is a very transparent place. Customers are talking to each other all the time. They're writing about this stuff on Medium, on Reddit, on YouTube. If your business is built on people not finding out that you're doing something, it's probably going to fail in the long run. Consider all the different players in your industry, the platforms, the competitors, and the customers, and build something that's harmonious with the customers and the platforms and locks out the competition. Next slide, please. All right. So this is my invitation to you guys. And there's my recommended resources. So my invitation to you guys is this. If you're first getting started, follow a proven method, generate your first 10K as quickly as possible, and focus on building those skills that we talked about. Number 1, generating traffic. Number 2, converting traffic into buyers. Once you have those skills down, start thinking deeper about the industries, about the strategies, about the markets, about the business models that you're in. Look for ways to create businesses that have competitive advantages that nobody else can copy. I've given you 4 examples here today, 4 kinds of competitive advantages that you can build. Those are not the only ones, but those are 4 of the most common ones. Competitive advantages oftentimes don't look the same as each other, right? Sometimes different businesses have advantages that are completely different than each other. So I've given you some blueprints, but there's things beyond these blueprints as well. So what I want you guys to walk away with is I want you guys to think deeper about sustainable advantages, about competitive advantages, and about building businesses that A, can scale, B, are not affected by your competition, and C, can make you 7 figures plus in the long run and can't get deteriorated as thousands and thousands and thousands of other people start using these strategies to make more money on the internet. So these are some resources that have helped me develop my thinking. There's my email, and there's the slides for the Nomad Summit. Thank you.
Wow, that was great. Guys, we've got time for a couple of questions. Who has a question for Derek?
You put that last slide back?
Is that a question or a command? Any questions?
Full disclosure, I don't know anything about dropshipping, but how do you talked about finding a unique product, and then you explained how about making the sites unique. But how do you go about actually finding and creating a unique product, like your pull-up bar, for example?
So our pull-up bar, okay, so first, finding the right idea, right? So the way we did our research for the product is very similar to any other Amazon product. We looked for products that had where the sales are not concentrated in the top few, right? So we wanted to sell pull-up bars, but we didn't want to see that the top 3 people had all the sales. So there was decent search volume, there was a lot of sales, and it was distributed among different kinds of pull-up bars, which told us this is a pretty decent market, and then we talked to a lot of other people. The way we actually had the product designed was we used Upwork. Who's used Upwork? People used Upwork here before? Okay, so we used Upwork. We had essentially what was a contest between different engineers and industrial designers. So we hired, I think, 6 different designers to come up with 3 different ways they would execute on a foldable pull-up bar. So we got about 18 different designs for how a foldable pull-up bar could work, and then we took the best design and we gave it to the best designer, or the best engineer. And the engineer turned it into 3D drawings, which we then took to a prototyper who did a prototype, and then we took the prototype to China and got a manufacturer. It's less expensive than people think. Like we probably paid our engineer on Upwork under $3,000 for the whole thing. The first prototype I think actually cost like $1,200 for the first design, and then we redesigned it again, which costs a little bit more money, but under $3,000 to get all the designs done.
Great, thanks, Derek. Next question. Anybody? Okay. Thanks, Derek. That's fantastic. Brilliant. Thanks very much.